Cape Canaveral is one of those rare destinations where the excitement of the sea meets the wonder of space. My visit here wasn't just about sightseeing, it was about discovering what makes this place so unique before booking a future cruise from here. Please like, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. For more thrilling excitement, please watch the video all the way to the end. The day began at Port Canaveral, one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. Standing along the waterfront, I watched as some of the most iconic ships prepared to set sail, from family-friendly megaliners to luxury vessels. The port was alive with travelers ready to begin their adventures. The sight of a ship slowly gliding out to sea, with music playing and passengers waving from the decks, felt like the perfect preview of the cruise experience I was researching. But Cape Canaveral isn't only about the ocean. It's also about the stars. Just a short drive away is the Kennedy Space Center, home of some of the most historic launches in history. I was lucky enough to witness a rocket launch during my visit. The ground rumbled beneath me as the rocket blasted off, climbing higher and higher into the sky. Watching the capsule rise into orbit was nothing short of breathtaking. It's hard to describe the mix of power, excitement, and pride you feel standing there, knowing this is the same place where Apollo astronaut once launched into the moon. It was also thrilling watching the rocket booster return back to the launch pad and docked. After the adrenaline of the space launch, I took some time to enjoy the flavors of the area. Cape Canaveral is known for its fresh seafood, and I couldn't resist sampling the catch of the day at a local dockside restaurant. From shrimp basket to grilled fish straight from the Atlantic, the food was simple, fresh, and delicious. Eaten by the water with ship passing in the distance had a relaxed coastal charm to the experience. Later, I stopped by the community boat ramp. Here, the pace slowed down. Families were preparing their boats for a day of fishing, while locals launched kayaks into the calm water. It was a different side of Cape Canaveral, quiet, personal, and connected to everyday life on the water. Watching people set out for their own small adventures remind me that this area isn't just a tourist stop. It is also home to a thriving community built around the ocean. By the end of the day, I felt like I had experienced the very art of Cape Canaveral. Cruise ships setting off to exotic destinations, rockets soaring into the heavens, fresh seafood that captured the taste of the coast, an everyday moment at the boat ramp that grounded all in local life. Cape Canaveral is more than just a place to catch a cruise. It's a destination where sea, space, and community come together. And after this visit, I know my future cruise from here will begin with so much appreciation for everything this remarkable port has to offer. one of the abundant sea life at Cape Canaveral. Enjoying fresh seafood at the restaurants. observing a rocket launch from the Kennedy Space Center. Like what you see? If you enjoy this Cape Canaveral trip, hit like, share it with friends, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss my next cruise adventure.